Today I want to take a minute to show you the safest, bestest, most versatile, surefire way to rig your kayak anchor so that you can finish the day with your anchor, your gear, and your life intact. Coming up. I'm Denny. This is Tactical Kayak Angler. So you might think that I went a little over the top in the intro there with the whole keep your life intact thing, but the truth is that an anchor is the most dangerous thing that most people have in their kayak. Depending on when, how, and where you're using it, it's the most likely thing to get you in trouble or to cause you to end up in the water. Now, there are a lot of videos out there about how to rig your kayak anchor. Most of the ones I've seen, I feel like, leave out some key points, and none of the ones I've seen use my preferred method, which I think is more versatile and safer all around. So I'm going to show you how I rig my anchor, and I'm going to touch on a couple of very important key safety points, and then at the end I'm going to walk you through an on-the-water example showing you exactly how to get your anchor free after you've been using it and it's hung up on the bottom and you can't get it loose. So most people will show you the anchor and they'll tell you to attach your anchor line to the crown and then to zip tie it to the ring. The idea is right, but the implementation is not terrific. The reason why is that when you deploy your anchor like this and then move forward and get in position, the anchor is laying in such a way that you can't get any force on the zip tie to actually break it if it gets hung up. The only way you can get in position is to get straight over it and apply a great degree of force from straight above. And that's the most dangerous way to try and get your anchor back. There's just a much better method. So what I like to do is take a section of line about double the length of the anchor, make a loop on one end, and then just tie that with an overhand knot. So you've got a tied off loop at the end. Then you can use just a ring. I like to use a swivel. When you lift the anchor up, it tends to helicopter. I think a swivel helps with the line twist. So you can use either. I use a swivel. And then we take the swivel and we're going to zip tie the swivel or the ring to the ring on the anchor. Once that's attached, we're going to run the line down so that we leave just a little bit of slack in it and use an anchor knot to tie the line to the crown of the anchor. And that's really all there is to it. The nice thing about this setup, first and foremost, is just its versatility. By having the ring on you can clip your anchor line directly to the anchor if you're in lighter conditions, or if you're in a situation where you need that anchor to lay down, you can clip the anchor line to a section of chain and attach the chain to the anchor. So it's more versatile. More importantly, by setting your anchor up this way, by zip tying the swivel or ring here to the ring on your anchor, you're always putting pressure on the zip tie. So it doesn't matter if the anchor's in this position and you're pulling straight, or if you're pulling from above, or any direction, however the anchor is wedged, and wherever you are, you're pulling in a way that you're going to be able to pop that zip tie. That's very, very important. Not like if you're laying like this with this zip tied to it, and then pulling straight this way does nothing. You have to pull straight up. You have to put yourself in an awkward position, and you don't want to do that. The reason you don't want to do that, when your anchor's hung up and you get straight above it, you always end up pulling straight off the side of your kayak, and that's where your kayak is the least stable. And you get distracted. You start focusing on pulling that anchor, pulling that anchor. You can't get it to pop. You start pulling harder and harder and harder, and then pretty soon you start reaching further down the line to get a tighter, firmer grip on it, and then now you're starting to lean your kayak into the water a bit. You're putting a lot of pressure on it, and even if it's not tipping because it's stable, you're creating kinetic energy there by the kayak pushing down in the water where you're pulling down. And if it suddenly pops free, you swing loose, you lose your balance, things can go bad. One thing to point out that I feel like people often overlook is the zip tie. Not all zip ties are equal. So I'll see people say, zip tie your line to the anchor. And that's all the information they give you. Zip ties are stronger than you think. And if you think you're just going to zip tie your line to your anchor, pull it snug, and then be able to pop it free, you're probably going to end up in a situation where you lose your anchor because you have to cut the line. Light duty zip ties. These are electrical zip ties. They have a tensile strength of like 30 pounds. I've found that 30 pounds is just about the sweet spot. It's definitely strong enough that just general use is not going to break that, but it's light enough that a couple of good hard jerks will usually pop it free and let you get your anchor back. So let's walk through this out on the water. You have your anchor deployed and you're ready to move from the spot you've been fishing, and you go to pull it up and it's gotten itself wedged in some rock or some brush or some other debris. The first thing to do obviously is just paddle back, get straight on top of it, and try and lift it up. Sometimes you can just jiggle it a little bit. So bouncing it, if you've got some play in it and you can bounce it, sometimes you can bounce it a little bit and it'll just come up. If you do that and you've got a little play or there's no play but it's wedged in there and you can't get it to work itself free, then just let your line go. Run your anchor trolley all the way to the back of the kayak, as far back as you can get it. Let the wind or the current or whatever it is that you're in that is causing you to have to anchor in the first place, let that pull you away from the anchor. You can even paddle and give a couple of good hard strokes so you've got some momentum. As soon as your line starts to get tight, give it a good hard jerk. You're basically waiting for your line to get tight, and then you're trying to snap yourself back and pull yourself so hard that you're going to pull yourself back over the top of the anchor. That will cause your ring to pop the zip tie. Sometimes you'll feel it, sometimes just in the chaos of the moment you won't feel it. A lot of times, once that pops, you'll immediately feel the anchor give and you'll start to drag it and then you can just lift it up. Sometimes it's hung up pretty good though, and you'll pop that zip tie, but you still won't be able to get the anchor up. Then you just paddle back over it or pull yourself back up over it so with your line, get on top of the anchor, and usually then you can feel that there's some play. It's usually wedged in something and you can get on top and sort of bounce it around a little bit and work it loose. At that point, it's not pulling against the flukes, right? It's not pulling up at the top off the ring, trying to, from this angle where you're never going to get it. At that point, this is popped free, and now you're pulling from this. So it will pull, even if this is hung up, the flukes, it will pull this up like this. Sometimes, just wiggling it, you'll be able to get it free. If you can't, don't worry about it. All you have to do is paddle around a little bit and keep working your way in a circle around it, trying different angles. Move a little bit, give it a couple tugs. Move a little bit, give it a couple tugs, and you'll find an ankle and it's just going to lift right up. And then all you have to do, once you've done that, all you have to do is then reattach. Always bring extra zip ties on the water with you. And then just grab another one, zip it up, and you're back in business and ready to deploy again at the next spot. So there you have it. It's not exactly rocket science. It's not exactly earth-shattering. But by using a zip tie that you know is the right size and strength, and by rigging it this way with just this tiny adjustment, it makes it super easy and incredibly safe to get your anchor back once it's been hung up. If you have any comments or questions about anything here that we've talked about, post them down in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next time.